This is a Global Original Podcast. As you can hear from the muffled sound of my voice, I'm recording this from inside Boris Johnson's Bell tent. It's a good one this week. The clips you're about to hear were recorded just before last Christmas, and there's talk of predicting what would come in this year. It's spooky to think how innocent and positive 2020 sounded back then. First up, a listener with material manages to get a joke past me without me noticing.
And I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. You're the best worst president ever. Scott in Maidstone says, I think we can all agree that 2019 has been a bit of a naff year. My eyesight has been pretty bad too, but let's hope I can see properly in 2020. Okay. Yeah, then you'll be able to see clearly now. This tweeter says, Nick, God, in her infinite wisdom, has sent us fire and floods to rid the earth of the human scourge. Maybe that bloke that used to call you was right. Have you heard the word of the Lord, Nick? Have you taken Jesus into your life, Nick? Philip texts, I'm glad to see that you are taking on a few extra hours at LBC. Maybe you can afford that long-delayed day trip to Bournemouth. You deserve it. You bet I do. But I can't afford it. I deserve it, but I can't afford it. Too blooming expensive to go to Bournemouth. Why does it cost £100 to go to Bournemouth? It's just over there. And Anton in Tooting says, Nick, after bombarding us with pro-EU propaganda for 3.5 years, I'm surprised that you yourself, James O'Brien especially, and Sheila Watsit have not resigned from LBC following the heavy defeat of the Ramonas, says Anton in Tooting. Anton, what really boggles my mind, this is the sound of my mind being boggled. What boggles my mind about people like you is that you think you've won something. I, on the other hand, am a patriot. I want what's best for this country, damn it. Anton in Tooting, on the other hand, and people like him, only want what they have been persuaded is best for them. Treasonous. Here's a call in Lanzarote. Hello, Joe.
All right, Nick. How you doing, mate?
Good, thanks. Sounds like you're next door.
Was it? Well, yeah. I got off the plane the other day, and it's great. There's a few things I like to mention. One is that I'm on your side and everything when it comes to
stuff.
Well, I'm a socialist. I like the idea of socialism.
Well, I never said I was a socialist. Where did you get that idea from?
You're a nice guy. You don't like to see people in the street.
Well, let's not get carried away. Nice is stretching it a bit. So's Guy, right, by the way, but never mind.
Don't know who Guy is, but I don't like to see people suffering. Yeah. I've been in a bad place, and now I'm in a good place.
What, Lanzarote?
Well, yeah. Well, that's me. I've been.
Yeah. Where were you before?
Middlesbrough.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Imagine that.
You're in a bad place in Middlesbrough, and now you're in a good place in Lanzarote. I get it.
No, I'm in Middlesbrough. I'm working in a good job. I'm in the 5% of the. There's that guy, wasn't there, on the news night saying, "Oh, I earn £80 a year."
You're a 5%er. Yes.
No, hang on. But I'm on about £100 a year. But before that...
Oh, well, that's great, Joe. What's the weather like in Lanzarote, by the way?
I know you don't want to know, but it's like 24 degrees.
Yeah, okay, well, we don't wish to know that. Thanks a lot, Joe. Enjoy your, whatever it is you're doing over there. Send us a postcard. I appreciate it. There was more, but I don't think I really wanted to know. He just wanted to call in and crow about the weather. Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. Dave says, yes, the Christmas 2019 food shopping has been... This is all in capitals, by the way, like he's shouting at me. The Christmas 2019 food shopping has been a nightmare. It must be a test run for the last trolley dash in preparation for exiting the... Ew. Grab the tinned food now. Yeah, everybody should get stocked up. It was the most magical time of the year. Right now. That's what we're experiencing right now. The most magical time of the year. Doesn't it feel like it?
No.
No. Shoppers are getting into fistfights over toys. Because that's what Jesus wants. Angry parents clashed in Hamleys as tempers boiled over in front of young children during Christmas shopping. I've been to Hamleys, and it doesn't seem like they've got the space for Christmas shopping. Like, if you go in there in February, then there probably won't be anybody in there other than the people who stand behind the counters demonstrating the things that go whiz and pop and whee. But if you put more than about 6 people in there, the crush is incredible. I think it was made, the building was made at a time when there weren't so many blooming people who wanted toys. But anyway, angry parents clashed in Hamleys as tempers boiled over in front of young children. Families raged at each other in a fight over the lift in the toy shop. One parent can be heard screaming, "Bleep you!" at another, as horrified children looked on. Security guards had to separate shoppers before it got even more ugly. The Hamleys flagship store in Regent Street in London was teeming with shoppers desperate to get some last-minute gifts for their children. Families with prams and bags were queuing to use there's not enough room for people, don't mind about prams. Prams and bags they took. And they were queuing for the lift. Use the blooming oh no, I suppose with the pram you can't. A brawl ensued when a family reportedly cut in line.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. One woman is seen to yell, "Bleep you!" repeatedly in front of horrified young children. Bystanders caught up in the incident were forced to leave the store empty-handed. One said, "Let's go, it's not worth it." I've got absolutely no idea whether that's how they said it, but that's the accent I'm going to give them. "No, don't do it, it ain't worth it." An eyewitness said the fight took place because the women refused to join the queue like everybody else. When the lift doors opened, they just pushed their way in from the exit walkway. Maybe it's one of those lifts that you come in one side and you exit the other. And the queue to get in was so large that some sneaky individual went in the wrong way. Went in the wrong way.
Boo!
Obviously, people in the queue were not happy, and the girl in the lift told them that they had to get out, and then it all kicked off. One person said, "I stopped filming when it got nasty." Wow! It must have been really bad for people to stop filming. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. You know, it's my right, I can do what I want. They're everywhere.
Oh, fabulous.
Meanwhile, in further festive cheer, angry Christmas shoppers up and down the land have blasted retailers after they were left queuing for up to 30 minutes this morning as they lined up to get the last of their items for the big day. Who could have predicted that the stores would be busy on the weekend before Christmas? That just came right out the blue, didn't it? Yeah, I think we should celebrate Christmas in February. You know, when the stores are less full. Isn't that an excellent idea?
No.
Consumers packed into their local supermarkets and some were left in tears at the checkouts. In Folkestone at 6 o'clock in the morning, shoppers were left outraged when only 4 tills were open to serve them. Who shops at 6 o'clock in the morning? Video footage from inside the store showed people with trolleys and baskets lined up around the whole of the store at 7:45. Shoppers have described chaotic scenes at other supermarkets. Customers have been forced to queue down the aisles in shops. One shopper in Port Talbot in Wales described his local store as absolute madness. But to be fair, absolute madness is normal for Port Talbot. He said the queue for the checkout was an hour long. Wow. Wow. A Twitter user said, went to Tesco's this morning at 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. It was absolute chaos. A customer in Merseyside said an argument had broken out over a loaf of bread.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yeah, and I'm floating serenely above the fray because I've had my Christmas already. I did Christmas Day last Tuesday, the 17th. Presents opened, beverages consumed,
Booze.
and a pleasant, relaxed time was had by all. I do it every year. And it's so enjoyable, I don't know why anybody else hasn't caught on to this. I mean, December the 25th isn't actually Jesus' birthday, you know? It's an ancient festival that coincides with the shortest day, more or less. Why does it have to be on the 25th? If you do it like me, then you'll have bought all of your stuff in the week before Christmas. And it was a dream. It was a breeze. I did the food shopping and all the other kind of shopping before anybody else. No drama, no panic. And while everybody else is herring around like their bums on fire, I'm sailing through it in a cloud of serenity. Cloud of Serenity, the new fragrance of smugness by Calvin Klein. Splash it all over. If only we knew then, last December, what would happen in our stores just a few months later, when people would be fighting over toilet roll. Coming up, the joke is explained to me, and an expert calls. Steve tweets, that was a listener with material. 2020 vision. Yeah. You'll be able to see clearly next year in 2020. 2020 vision. Oh. Funny, no?
No.
JD and Kokori texts, Nick, we have a crab shortage in Fife. We have been to all the major supermarkets and can't find any crab. Please can you send them from London immediately? Thank you. What? And James says, if you leave your shopping till the last minute on Christmas Eve, then it's not that busy. There isn't much left to buy either, but at least it's peaceful. Yeah, the shops are completely bereft. The cupboard is bare, but there's no consumers there either. They ain't got no customers in shops that haven't got no stuff. And Josh in Surrey says, Steve Allen, oh God, already with the Steve Allen stuff. You people are obsessed with Steve Allen. Why can't you leave him alone? He said, Steve Allen was saying this morning on his show that you've got plenty of cash on the hip to treat yourself to a marvellous car this Christmas. A present from you, so what are you waiting for? Ditch the bangers and buy a Bentley. I'm never going to own a Bentley. I've never even sat in a Bentley. I've seen one go by. I got a phone call from a man saying that my old car, my 20-year-old car, is working. It's alive! He fixed it. I am stunned. So I can't wait to get it back. I'll probably crash it on the way back from the garage. Bromley. Hello, Neil.
Good Christmas, dear. Yes, James O'Brien is a man that likes the sound of his own voice. Now, as far as climate change is concerned...
Unlike yourself, yes.
Well, mind you, it's been a while. I've been waiting a while to get a word in edgeways.
Oh, no, have you? You've been waiting a long time.
Stop whining.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we were talking about you've got two sorts of climate change people, haven't you? You've got the people that reckon it's secular, so like 100 or 1,000 years ago it was very hot and then whatever. You've got the people that say that the ozone layer has been devastated and therefore we're all going to hell in a handcart.
Right, it's got nothing to do with the ozone layer, but go on.
All right, so it's got...
That's another thing.
The deforestation.
That's something else, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly...
CO2, you don't know exactly... Really, you don't know? Wow, okay.
Well, okay, elucidate then, please. Go on, tell me exactly why... What has brought on this sudden catastrophe we've never experienced before, in civil, apart from the Ice Age? I mean, what's going to bring us to our knees, as far as this concerned? What do you reckon?
I just feel the energy is just like draining out of me.
Well, I'm sorry, yeah.
You want me to recap all of the arguments for man-made climate change?
No, but I mean, as far as what I'm saying is that, in my opinion, you've got two sorts of people. You've got the people that say it's to do with, every 100 years or whatever.
Yeah, deniers, you mean? Down. Deniers, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not, I don't really know, but I mean, you've got Jeremy Clarkson, who suddenly, I mean, that's supposed to mean something, but he's suddenly come out and actually...
the bloke who writes about cars?
Yeah, he suddenly...
The well-known scientific expert.
Change does exist.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he was always poo-pooing it, wasn't he, and just saying...
He's a columnist. He's a controversialist. He writes to amuse. He doesn't really believe anything he writes. No columnist believes what they write.
But I mean, he was always controversial by saying that it doesn't exist, wasn't he? But now he's sort of come on board. I mean, I don't know on board with who, but he's saying that it does because he was doing like a show out in God knows wherever they go, and he's noticed the difference between...
Right, okay. Well, if Jeremy Clarkson says it's true, then I guess
you can say if someone comes up like that, he's notorious for Well, he's a headbanger, isn't he? But, I mean, as you say...
Neil, I'm confused. What is it that you're trying to say? What point are you trying to make?
What I'm saying is you've got your climate. You've got people are saying that the climate is going to get... We're going to get go up a degree or 0.1.
Deniers and believers, yes.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean,
that's it? Oh, okay, well, you should have said that right at the beginning. Then I wouldn't have had to sit through all that. That's it. Whew. James says, this says, it's always been busy at Christmas. Joseph and Mary had to slum it in the barn. Well, that is true. Can you imagine the smell? Nicola in Sittingbourne says, 7 hours of last-minute shopping in Kent. What a bleeping nightmare. And what's it all for? 77 quid for a Norfolk bronze, tasteless old bird. £77? You've got to be kidding me. £77 for a turkey? That's impossible. How can that be true? Nicola says, I must be nuts. Absolutely.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
Ron in Hounslow said, somehow I missed the sequence which means you now have a third car. I have 3 too, but not for the same reason. I just can't seem to part with them, which is a ridiculous excuse. Well, yeah, I've got, to make a long story short, a long and very, very painful story. I've had a car for 20 years. It broke down. I thought it had broken down to the point that it would be uneconomical to fix it, because it's not worth anything at the moment. You could probably give me 10 pence. It would be... The change that's in the ashtray of that car is worth more than the car itself. So I thought, if it's busting, it's going to be thousands. There's no way I'm pouring thousands of pounds into a car that's not actually worth a thing. So I bought another car. And this is where my stupidity comes to the fore. The other car that I bought was broken when I bought it. It made a funny noise. And I thought, well, this maybe it's just the sound of new engines, because the fellow that's trying to sell me this car couldn't possibly have the nerve to sell me a car that sounds weird. It must be all right. That just must be the sound of a new car. But no. So that's been sitting outside my house for, 8 months now, unmoving, while I try to negotiate some route out of this nightmare. Meanwhile, my old car got fixed, but then it broke again. I thought, well, I better get a new car, particularly for Christmas, because how am I going to get into work? And so I bought a new car, so now I've got a new car, which at the moment works, although I have my doubts, and 2 old cars which don't work. Except my old car works again. Because a nice bloke at the garage down the road brought it back to life. But I do know what you mean about not wanting to part with your old car, because I've had it 20 years now, and just the thought of selling it off for like 50 quid or just scrapping it, it fills me with sorrow. I just don't want to do it. I've imbued some sort of emotional conscience in it. Like, it would feel upset if I abandoned it. How silly is that? But it's like a pet. I don't want to let it go. It's like a very, very expensive pet. Mark in West Wickham says, if you want to get near or in a Bentley, you could always wash Steve Allen's for him. That's a good idea. Yeah, I could earn some extra change. Zara in Norfolk says, the problem with your cars is between the steering wheel and the driver's seat. That is actually true. The problem with cars is the numpty doing the driving. The sooner that cars have the steering wheel removed entirely and everything is performed by a robot, the better.
Affirmative.
It can't happen soon enough. People can't drive. By the way, if the conditions are really, really bad near you, if it's raining and it's dark and the street lights aren't on and there's potholes in the road and you don't know where they are because everything looks the same, it's just flooded and the conditions are terrible, what you need to do is speed up and tailgate the car in front and flash your lights if they do anything under 50 mile an hour in a 20 zone. If you are driving an Audi, of course, you will already be doing this. We appreciate your cooperation.
Thank you.
Dan says, The saga of your various cars has gone on so long that I'm convinced ITV will pick up the rights to the story and adapt it into an hour-long comedy with Martin Clunes. Hey, has that programme ended, that Dr. What's-It programme? Because I feel like that's... I don't take holidays. When was the last time I took a holiday from this job? Never. I don't think I've ever taken a holiday from this job. I'm a good boy, I am. But watching a programme like that, Dr. What's-It, what's the name of that show?
Doc Martin.
Is the right answer. Doc Martin. Watching Doc Martin's like having a little holiday. So's that nice woman with the antiques. That's like having a holiday as well. Has that show finished? Because I'll be... Here comes the information. Doc Martin's still going. I thought they'd ended it.
Nope, it's been running since 2004.
Right, so there'll always be repeats. We'll always have repeats. It's like a little break, don't you find? I looked yesterday at the TV coming up over Christmas, and I thought, wow, this is abysmal. And so I did think, well, maybe I missed something. It can't be that bad. And you know what? It is that bad. There's nothing on at all. Zero. Not even on the good channels. Well, the good channels are, I don't know, BBC 4 used to be, no, BBC 2 used to be the smart channel, and then it became, I don't know why, and it became about as stupid as BBC 1, which is very, very stupid indeed.
Absolutely.
And now BBC 4 is, I don't know what are they for? What are they for? 03, that should be the question for now until the end of time. Not just about them, but, you know, everything. What's it all about, Alfie? Search me, Squire. Coming up, I finally get to see a picture of Steve Allen's Bentley, and I'm somewhat surprised, to put it mildly.
Words, more words.
Phil tweets, I'm stunned by your dedication, Nick. 2 days work a week, and you've never taken a holiday. Merry Christmas and stop whining. Offensive. This says, you bang on about lovely Steve Allen's Bentley, yet he has... I do not bang on about it. People keep texting me about it. The messages, they keep coming and coming. How do these people get my number? He says, you bang on about Steve Allen's Bentley, yet he has one automobile and you have three. What would Greta say? Well, she can shut up about it because only one of them works, as far as I'm aware. I'm told that the old one works, but I'll see it to believe it. And I do not bang on about Steve Allen. I would unbidded never mention it. It's just that people keep talking about it over and over and over again. What kind of Bentley is it? Please tell me it's not a GT. It's not one of the new two-door ones, like a sports car. Please tell me it's not one of the new ones. I imagine it's one of the ones, like a huge chrome canoe from the 1970s. I imagine it's some sort of diarrhea brown. Ron says, don't scrap the old car because in 5 years it'll be considered a classic and you'll be eligible for free road tax. When does that kick in? Is it 25 years? Catford, hello, Steve.
I think it's 25 years. My little car's coming up for that now. So,
right.
Oh, wow. But no, global warming or human, involvement in that. There's a guy a couple of calls ago who knew nothing, and
he wanted to explain that at length.
He did. Well, I'm kind of like him. I know nothing, but I'm kind of possibly a little bit brighter in the fact that I'm prepared to listen to scientific knowledge, clever people, right. Experts, and I'm prepared to accept that this is when we're deforestation and another thing,
the acidification of the oceans, and acidification of the oceans, all that stuff.
God, all of it, and it's beyond. I mean, I've never dropped litter in my entire life.
I bet you're lying about that. I bet you're lying about that.
Well, I might have done in the 70s.
Wow, that is not Steve Allen's. Wait a minute, that is not Steve Allen's car.
It is.
That's Steve. That is Steve Allen's car.
Not that exact one, but
really. Oh my God, he's a plutocrat. That must do about 2 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
You're ruining the planet, Steve. Leave it at home and get a bus. It's as big as a bus. That's his car. Oh, my God, it's worse than I thought. Now I'm depressed. I can't believe it. The Queen doesn't have a car that nice. A Queen does, but not the Queen. Yes, Steve?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm butting in here. But, yeah, I think I've mentioned this before. If you would take a car out and go into the countryside, say 20 years ago, this is when, perhaps 15 even.
Are you talking about bugs?
Yes.
Yeah, we've had this conversation many times on this show. You used to hit billions of bugs if you just took your car down to the shops and back. Now you could take it from one end of the country to the other and not hit one single one.
No, that scares me. And it scares me.
All of the food that we eat is dependent on bugs. I mean, you might not like them, but they are essential to our well-being.
Well, all those years ago, someone said to me about I've got a little garden. They said put lavender in and plants like that.
Yeah, for the buzzy bees.
You'll get bees.
Yeah,
and it's so nice to see these bees. I mean, they might not be the same bees, but it's so nice to see them.
Well, they look the same to. I'm sorry if this sounds racist, but all you bees look the same to me.
Yeah, but it's so great. I don't know, and the birds, and I put out the bleeding stuff for the birds.
Yeah, of course they love it. Me too. Except unless you give them precisely what they want, which is sunflower seeds. If you buy those big bags of mixed seeds, they just sit there on the perch and they pick them out and they say, no, I don't like that one, and they chuck it away. And they pick out another one. No, not that one, and they chuck it away. They sit there for about 5 minutes, just emptying your bird feeder, trying to get the one they want.
I know. They don't know they're born. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But no, global warming is happening, and I'm an adult from Catford. I know it's happening because I think it's 98%.
Is that relevant that you're in Catford?
Not particularly. It will affect us at some stage.
Here's the difference between you and me and the people who call in and say that climate change isn't a thing. It's all just weather. They don't know anything. We don't know anything, Steve, but at least we're smart enough to know that we don't know anything.
Well, yes, that's kind of gives me a little bit of hope.
A little bit of hope, yeah. Not much, just a tinge. Yeah, okay. All right, thanks a lot, mate. Got to go. 0345 6060 973. Ian in Sheffield says, the old things are the best. Believe it or not, I have a 100-year-old petrol lawnmower. Wow. Did they even have grass 100 years ago? Karen in Cheshire says, I completely understand your attachment to ye olde car. 20 years ago, our old Audi went to scrap, and I insisted on steering it out of the drive as the old dear went. Ah. Yeah, but you still killed it, though. That's terrible, Karen. I don't want to let it go. I mean, it is probably responsible for half of the carbon dioxide in the air. It can't be good for the atmosphere, but then neither is scrapping it and buying a new car. I'm still stunned that that's Steve Allen's car, because I had it in mind that it was one of those clapped-out old 1970s cars. That, it's about the size of Wales, and has more chrome than a 50s jukebox. I just thought it was going to be one of those old things that you could pick up for about $3,000 and choose through petrol like a steamship. But it's actually... How do you know that that's true?
Because I've physically seen it.
Oh, my God. I'm very upset. Where does he park it?
He wouldn't want me saying.
There's no space in London to park a car that big. This says, no wonder your cars you own don't work. You go on exotic holidays such as Venice. Thank God for public transport. At least that gets you to work. I went to Venice for like 3 or 4 days. That's it. But it really is a fantastic place. If you haven't been to Venice, then it must be at the very, very toppermost of your list. And trust me when I say that, because it's the most amazing place I've ever been. Nowhere on earth is anything like it. You know the Canaletto paintings? You must have seen them. They're in the National Gallery, and the Queen's got loads of them, and they're here, there, and everywhere, baby. It's exactly like that. And nowhere is exactly like it used to be 100, 200 years ago. But Venice is. It looks the same. You get off a train or the plane, and you get on a boat in what looks like a perfectly ordinary square, except it's got a river running through it, and the buildings are modern, and you don't get a sense of what it is that you're about to see. And the boat leaves, and you go round a corner, and there it is, spread out before you. And I just burst out laughing. I just could not believe my eyes. It's amazing. Don't go now, though, unless you are taking your own boat. Or a submarine might be a good idea. 0345 6060 973. Let's have South Norwood. Hello, Philip.
Oh, good evening, Nick. There are various versions of Doc Martin. Did you know that all around the world?
I didn't.
There's a French version I know of, and they seem to think it's such a good idea to do their own version of, because of the character of a doctor.
Yeah.
That is why it's been picked up for various versions of it.
Huh.
The reason I rang in, Nick, many, many years ago, sorry about the throat, I've got a bit of a throat tonight. Many, many years ago, in the midst of time, there used to be a thing every year on LBC called Prediction Night. And I think Clive did it. And what it was, people would phone in with predictions for next year.
Yeah.
And what they would do, they would record them, and then, next year they would play them back and see just how right or wrong people were.
Right. And were they ever right?
I think it was a very small number. And it was funny, it was the most incredible ones that seemed to come true.
Well, yes. I mean, these days, absolutely anything is possible.
I'm president.
Can
you believe it?
I mean, who would have predicted that?
I just wonder whether you've ever thought of perhaps reviving it.
No, I certainly have not, Philip.
It would be interesting to... I had to laugh earlier on, was it? George Osborne said he sleeps soundly at night.
Yeah, I bet he does, on a giant pile of money.
Reading the Evening Standard.
Yes. Well, that's
all I've got to say. Have a good Christmas.
That puts me to sleep. Thanks a lot, Philip. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I listened to that George Osborne interview. He seemed like a reasonable person. In fact, I came in just after the beginning of it, and I didn't know who I was listening to. And I thought, yeah, this guy sounds... this guy, sounds like he's got it together. And then I heard that it was George Osborne. But I continued to listen, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe he should be the Prime Minister of this country. Is it too late to make him the Prime Minister of this country?
Yes.
A little bit. We've got Sooty instead. This says, this classic car exemption thing has been changed. Now it's 40 years, not 25. Ironically, it was George Osborne who changed this. George Osborne? No! As I was saying. What a despicable human being. And I mean that in the most positive and warm way. Is that true?
Yes, I've just looked it up.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. I hate you, George. And I really mean that. And it's a good job I didn't do that predictions thing, because I'd have been way out. And that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, you'll find the next episode gets squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And don't forget the podcast that I do with Carol McGiffin, which is a right laugh. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the highly amusing Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing like drains. If you would like us to have a bash at your problem, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol@global.com. And you can get that podcast where you got this. There's also the podcast I do, which is called The Whole Show, which is, as it sounds, the whole show with the ads and the news taken out for your listening pleasure. And that is also available where you got this. And I'll be back on the radio Friday and Saturday night at 10. And until then, I'll be seeing you.
Bye-bye.